Oh, hi.
Hey.
I didn't hear you come in.
Hey.
Welcome to Tea Time on Tatooine, bringing fans together from galaxies far, far away. I am your host, Anna Trumbo, with my husband and co-reviewer, Nick Griffith.
Hello, hello.
What an episode.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Finally.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
So it's kind of perfect timing because we've been talking about trying to
make these episodes 20 minutes.
That's not what I was going to say, but yes, make these more positive. Even when we don't really love the episode, we want these to be more positive. We just want to put more positivity out into the fandom. The whole point of me starting this podcast was to do exactly that.
Not in an insincere way.
Not in an insincere way, but it just so happens that tonight's episode was awesome.
It was awesome.
It was so great.
It's some of the best lightsabering in Star Wars.
Oh
I think
my
I've ever
gosh.
seen
Some
live
of the
action.
best use of the Force in fighting.
Yep.
When he has that one Jedi skewered and then he pulls the other Jedi onto the end of the
kebab?
skewer. Double kebab. So I was fielding texts from friends while watching. And one friend texted and said, what does it say about the Jedi that so many of them could be taken down by one Sith? And my response was, Sith don't have to follow any rules of engagement. They don't have any rules. They have absolute freedom. They can do whatever. No code. And that's his whole point. I mean, we know he has to have like more motivation that we are going to find out in episodes to come. The only motivation that we've been given so far is that he wants the freedom to use his power the way he wants to and to train someone the way he wants to. That's the only motivation we have for him so far about why he hates the Jedi. We don't know why he
wants either of those things yet, but that's what he wants.
I mean, if I had that kind of power, I might want to wield it the way I wanted to wield it.
Well, this is my question with like all the other movies too. It's like the Emperor wants ultimate power. For what? You're the Galactic Emperor. What are you going to do with it now? Yeah.
Is that a verb? Emperor. I'm going to emperor.
Going to emperor. Yeah.
Man. Oh, it was so cool. So I made...
You got a short list.
Oh, God. Let's see how fast we can get through it.
Yep.
In episode 2, when Chimere looks at Osha and goes, you look just like her. Mm-hmm. Makes so much more sense now.
Totally.
I know he was the red herring, but then they like double bluff. I know he's the actual.
Yeah. I thought he was the big decoy for the big bad.
Yes.
I was big wrong.
Well, I actually thought about that, and I kind of liked what they did when Osha and Yord are walking, and he's like, he got into my head, and she says, my mother could do that.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, oh, okay, it's the mother. And then I went, now that's the decoy. It's a double bluff.
I guess so. Yeah.
I guess so. Also, once we saw the fighters' bare arms, it was pretty clear.
That was a guy's arm.
It was a guy's arm, a very pale, manly arm. Interesting choice going bare armed.
Yeah.
Usually, if you've got
big
the helmet,
bare arms,
no gloves,
one forearm guard.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
The arm guard and the helmet.
How did he get Wakandan armor into the Jedi universe?
Okay. So, where's my phone? Okay.
We're jumping all over the place.
We're jumping all over the place.
We just watched this.
So excited. We just watched it twice.
It was really good.
So we're watching and we're trying to figure out what is his helmet made of.
And his forearm. Straight up headbutted a lightsaber.
He headbutted a lightsaber. Not only did he headbutt a lightsaber, which you could do with Beskar, Beskar is not going to turn that lightsaber off and temporarily disable it.
Yep.
You know it will?
No.
Cortosis.
I don't know what that is. That sounds like something you need cream for. You need cream from your doctor for cortosis?
Oh, man. I wish I had a faster comeback to that. That was really funny.
I was playing baseball a lot, and I got cortosis in my feet.
Gross.
Yeah, I don't know what that
Gross.
is. Yeah.
Okay, so if you have read, which I know you have not, but I have some of the Thrawn canon books. Mm-hmm. So there's a Thrawn trilogy. The first one I think is just called Thrawn. The next one is called Alliances. I think I have it right there, the comic book version. I'm not going to ruin my giant stack. But in Alliances, it's present day Thrawn and Darth Vader intercut with flashbacks of Thrawn and Anakin Skywalker. and they're trying to find Padme. She's lost in the Outer Rim or close to wild space, and they're following her tracks, and it takes them to like a refinery clearly run by separatists because it's during the Clone Wars, and it's a cortosis refinery, and they don't know what cortosis is. I think Thrawn is familiar with it because he says, and let me just do a little quote. The material is called cortosis. It's very rare. I've heard stories about it, but never seen any. It's rumored to have unusually high energy absorption and transmission coefficients to the point where many energy weapon blasts will be dissipated along the fibers without damaging the fibers itself.
Sorry, is this from the book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this is from Wikipedia.
Oh, gotcha.
But that is a direct quote from Thrawn from the book.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. It's also soft and frangible, useless for building into armor or other protective materials until it is refined. So
and if you're unread like me, frangible means
brittle.
Okay, thank you.
Brittle.
Okay.
So yeah, not so useful for building into armor unless it is refined. This is from Wikipedia. This is no longer a quote from the book, but cortosis could even withstand the blow of a lightsaber and briefly short out its blade.
Okay.
So as they're in the mine and they're trying to get out, they find pieces of armor that have been built with cortosis in it. And Thrawn is like, oh, it's brittle. It's not useful in armor. But they find out, oh, it's been refined. It is useful in this armor. They see someone wearing what appears to be clone trooper armor. But when Anakin hits it with a lightsaber, his lightsaber goes out and it dissipates.
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda
That's
forever.
Amazing.
I know. It's really cool. So Anakin, of course, being Anakin, is like, we have to blow the whole motherfucker up. And Padme's like, no, there are people here who, like, this is their job. This is their livelihood. This is, the whole town is sustained by the, like, economy of this mine and this refinery. And Anakin's like, no, we have to blow it up. So luckily he does, he's not Vader-y yet. So he does like warn everyone and give them a chance to leave. But then these people are like, gee, thanks for fucking up everything and then just leaving us. And Padme's like, I'm so sorry. But I think that's what this is.
Mm-hmm.
So cool.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's really, really
it's
cool.
Like
I was
Beskar
so confused.
On crack.
I thought it was Beskar, and then I thought, oh, they're janky lightsabers because it's 100 years ago.
No.
Cortosis.
Yes. So that is what we think. But as far as I know, and there are lots of books I haven't read, there are lots of comic books, there are video games I haven't played, so it's very possible this has shown up before. But as far as I'm aware, this is the first time we are seeing it in live action, if I'm correct. And I have to shout out my friend Kevin for texting me a reminder of that right before we started recording.
Yeah.
Because I did remember all of it once he reminded me. So it's not like I didn't know it existed.
Thank you, Kevin.
Oh, so cool. Chimera is such a badass.
Yeah.
Or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I have no name, but you might call me Sith. Whether or not
what he is has no name.
Yes.
Chimera might be his name.
It might be.
But yeah, we don't know.
And he might not be a Sith. He might be saying that because he thinks the Jedi are short-sighted and narrow-minded, and maybe he's like, well, you would call me a Sith, but that's not what I am. But maybe he is. Maybe it's still a mystery.
I mean, if he is what they would call a Sith, then he was taught by somebody.
Yeah. And it's interesting that he keeps using the term acolyte.
Mm-hmm.
I want an acolyte. But when he's fighting Jecki, he looks at Mae and says like something like, watch this, Padawan. This is a loyal pupil. And he's talking about Jecki being a loyal pupil. But it's not 100% clear, but I think he is calling Mae Padawan, as in his Padawan.
Oh, I thought he was saying, watch this Padawan, like referring to Jackie.
Oh, like looking at Mae and saying, watch this Padawan. She's a loyal. That makes more sense. Follower. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was watch this, Padawan.
I don't know. We can't figure out how to make the closed captioning work on our Disney. So who knows?
I know. Yeah. With no comma, yes, that makes more sense the way that you were saying it.
I thought it was wild that like the moment he was like, oh no, you're now trying to like cross me. I'm gonna straight up kill you now. And just immediately started to kill Mae or tried to kill Mae.
Oh yeah.
Like, done.
Zero forgiveness,
Yep.
0 second chance. I mean, are we surprised though?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
I also wonder, so I read an interview with Daphne Keane, the woman who plays Jackie,
Mhm.
and she says that part of her character motivation for the prior episodes is that her character has a little bit of a crush on Osha. And she's really young. She's a teenager. She's a Padawan. She's like, maybe this is the first person she's met that she kind of has feelings for. So she's like, I'm not supposed to have these feelings, but I'm also just very, very curious. You used to be my master's Padawan. I'm the Padawan now. And so I wonder, I mean, she's trying so furiously to save Mae. I wonder if it gives her complicated feelings towards Mae too. Because she's like, I like Osha and you look like Osha and you're her sister, but you're evil. And I might be reading too far into that.
I think you're reading too much into it. I think I saw that interview too, and she was talking about definitely like she used that as motivation internally. It's nothing that's displayed in the show though. And she definitely kicked Mae's ass. And
she did, up and down.
Yeah. It was a great fight scene.
Yeah. I mean,
so impressed with Daphne Keene's lightsaber work.
Oh my gosh. She's so
good.
But didn't she do a lot of fighting in Logan too? Like, this isn't her first physical.
She was like 11.
Which is even more impressive.
Yeah, and I don't know how she hasn't done a lot of fight training since then in other roles that I've seen her in.
We didn't finish the Golden Compass stuff and the subtle. We don't need to relitigate this.
Yeah.
We didn't finish it. There's more physicality later in that series. I maintain she's a fabulous actor, and this was great.
I think it's the best thing I've seen her in.
But I would argue you do kind of see that in like her interaction with Osha in the previous episode when she's like, oh, so you're leaving? Like, you can kind of, I don't know. I thought it before I saw the interview. I thought like it wasn't surprising. It's not something I read and was like, oh no, that makes sense.
I don't know, watching it, I didn't get that, but reading it, it makes sense.
Maybe I just have a gay agenda.
I think you do.
Yeah,
I think you do.
I want everything to be gay.
You do. Yeah.
Well,
that's fine.
Anyway, but how does he take that hit from the stun gun? And I think the answer might be cortosis, but the stun gun it appears to hit him like he's got a lot of bare skin showing.
It hit him in that big bare arm.
It hit him in that big bare. I mean, I would need to watch it for a third time to see like where exactly the shot falls.
Yeah, it was definitely his shoulder. It was his right shoulder.
Yeah, and maybe he has cortosis woven into what he's wearing or his cloak.
Oof, now you're speculating holes that aren't.
Yeah.
No.
Are we supposed
maybe
to
he's just like strong and a badass and get over it and like don't think too much about it. That might be it.
I think that's it.
That might be it.
I think that's it. I really liked when he was like, when he reveals himself. First of all, he reveals himself by like dropping Jackie's corpse.
Oh
that was such an epic shot.
Yeah.
And then he looking all scary and then looks at Mae and, hello there. Or whatever he says. That
was funny. Yeah.
That was really funny. And another really funny line that I was very happy with was Soul was like, why risk discovery?
Why risk revealing yourself?
Why risk revealing yourself?
I was wearing a mask.
I mean,
sure.
Did kind of like take my mask off. Also, as annoying as we found Yord and as much as he was like uptight and XYZ, I still liked him. Like I understood where he was coming from. He just took himself too seriously. He was young. He was self-righteous. He was very much indoctrinated and just like soldier for Christ. Soldier for Jedi.
Yep.
But I was legitimately bummed when he died because he had such a cool moment coming and using his mask against him.
I was looking forward to him short out his lightsaber, and making me like him a lot as a character.
Yeah,
and that never happened.
Well, and out loud the first time, so we watched this once and tried not to say anything, and then watched it again and like paused it and took notes and stuff. And the first time when he did that and held up the helmet and shorted out both of their lightsabers, one of us or both of us said literally like, oh, smart Yord. And then seconds later I said, dead Yord. And I was truly bummed. Like he had such a cool moment and he was really like, I'm going to be the hero.
Yep. He was saving the day.
You know what? They straight up Game of Thrones to this episode. They killed everyone.
Yeah, this was the Red Wedding.
This was the Red Wedding.
Well, there was like 5 extra Jedi that we never got an intro to.
True. And there was the one Plo Koon looking guy that I was also kind of excited because I love Plo Koon so much.
True. Yep.
Also, I think I should like somewhat retcon the video that I posted about my like Kiadi Mundi rant of like, he said there's no Sith for millennia. And
Did you say that?
Yes.
Did you say that?
Yes.
I thought that was like 1,000 other assholes online.
Yes, it was 1,000 other assholes online and me.
Oh. Okay.
I know. I wasn't angry about his birth year being taken off. Like there were people angry that certain things from Kiadi Mundi Legends wasn't being reflected in canon. It's like, no, that's not a thing. My beef was that he says in The Phantom Menace there haven't been Sith for a millennia. Mm-hmm. And here he is back there in a situation where it's clearly going to be revealed to him that there's someone fighting with the red blade. And I'm over here like, oh, that's continuity and blah, 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 blah. And someone reminded me, hey, the Jedi lie.
Jedi lie.
The Jedi lie. There's
been red blades used by Jedi in canon in the past.
True. There's also, fallen Jedi. Like, it doesn't have to be a Sith, which I knew that talking about it. And so when I talked about it, I said, maybe that's what will happen is it's not a Sith. It's just some other kind of fallen Jedi.
Not every Dark Force wielder is a Sith.
Not every Dark Force wielder is a Sith.
Dooku was not a Sith.
He was Darth Tyrannus. He was definitely a Sith.
Oh.
100%.
Edit that out so it sounds so dumb.
I kind of want to keep that in. He was definitely a Sith.
Kiadi Mundi.
Kiadi Mundi. Yes. So I was upset about that. But the Jedi from A New Hope, Ben straight up lies to Luke's face multiple times. Yep. He's a liar. Yoda covers up. Yoda tells the council to cover up what they find out about the clone army, that the Sith was behind the whole thing. Like they are, and Yoda's one of the ones we like. I never liked Kiadi Mundi.
I think what's tricky
I'm not
about
retconning that part of my video. I do not like him.
If Kiadi Mundi is lying, he lied to other Jedi on the council.
Yes, but Venestra, the Jedi Master that's sort of been like directing traffic,
everything,
and trying to minimize, political. She says like, I'm not bringing this to the council.
Yep.
I'm like, we're going to keep this as internal as possible. So maybe then it is determined at the end, we need to keep this from the council. We need to sit on this.
Is Yoda on that council?
Yes. Yoda is on that council, which is one of the reasons I don't think we're going to see Yoda in this series. I think that we will hear his name spoken.
Okay.
I think that is it. Yoda.
You don't think we're going to see a young, fresh Yoda?
No.
Okay.
He also won't be young. He'll still be...
He'll be 100 years younger. He'll only be 600 years old.
He's still pretty old. In the time of the High Republic, which is like a full 100... I don't know actually exactly when it is, but it's significantly prior to the time of the Acolyte. Yoda's like on sabbatical. He's not in the book.
Oh.
He's referenced with, respect. And they're like, oh yeah, he's off doing his thing. Grandmaster Yoda, he doesn't show up, I don't think, until after the fall of Starlight Beacon in the comics. And then he shows up and he's like trying to get to the bottom of what happened. But he's not.
He's just an older advisor at this point.
He's still there.
Okay.
But he's on sabbatical at that moment.
Interesting.
We also meet in Light of the Jedi a retired Jedi who's like 300 years old. He's another species. And he's basically legendary, but he's so old that they've pretty much taken away all of his responsibilities and not in a stripped him of responsibilities, but more been like, you don't have to do anything anymore. You can just pick what planet you want to live on and live in that temple and do what you want. So he like lives on a temple and or lives in a temple and cooks. He becomes a cook.
Right on.
Yeah.
So follow your dreams.
But then he gets brought back into, and they see him fight.
Thought he was out.
And the Padawan is looking at him like, that's why they call him the the bane
Master
of the blah blah
Walk.
blah. He's got some nickname like the red vengeance of the fields of blah blah blah. I can't remember.
Captain Spatula.
Captain Spatula.
Okay.
No, that would be great though.
Now, back to your list.
Back to my
20
list.
minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Tight 20.
We're for sure over 20 minutes at this point. Jackie was such a badass. I know we kind of talked about that. The fact that she held her own against a Sith or Sith equivalent, incredibly powerful guy, and she's a Padawan.
Yeah.
And she, yes, was brutally killed, but it was also like a trick of his lightsaber she didn't see coming, because he took it apart and then screwed it back together, and she held her own for a long time.
I mean, I know this is the earliest live action we've seen of anything, but it's the first dual lightsaber.
But it's not a double-sided.
It's got like a little hidden dagger in it.
It's like you can, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because Ahsoka's left-hand lightsaber, she actually, I don't know which is her dominant hand, whatever. The non-dominant hand lightsaber is shorter.
Yep.
And she almost uses it as a shield. It's like her defensive blade.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so sad.
Yeah. It was quick. I'm glad.
It was quick.
She didn't suffer.
She didn't suffer. I do think it's funny that Pip is the Swiss Army droid. You just pull off his head and he's this kind of tool, and you twist his eye and he's that kind of tool.
A little dark that like, hey, I need a flashlight. You rip this robot's head off. Pop.
But it goes back on.
It does.
Until the end when she puts it on his back and I love you, Pip.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see like how they become a team, because I didn't have a lot of emotional attachment to Pip.
Well, I could give two shits about this droid. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel like they really wanted us to care.
I can't even call it a droid. It's like a little pocket robot.
It's a droid. It has
droid.
feelings.
It's a pocket droid.
It's a pocket droid, but it's still a droid. It's just a small one.
Okay. It has feelings.
It does. It gets indignant. Do we think, and you and I think differ in opinion on here. I think we'll just call him Chimere because we don't know if he's a Sith. So we know that he has gone by the name Chimere. We'll call him that. We know that he wants to kill Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
The only part of his motivation we understand is that he wants the freedom to use his power the way he sees fit. I believe that he has no prior interaction or knowledge of these particular Jedi other than what Mae has told him about her history and what they did or did not do on her home planet. We're still waiting to find out. And the time that they met in the apothecary when he was posing as the like fixer guy.
We think it might be two different things. You think he said, "You really don't remember me," to Soul, talking about the meeting in the apothecary.
Correct.
And I, watching this thing twice, both times took it as, "You really don't remember me," being much more important than that. Like maybe Soul and his little team of Jedis fucked up some other homeworld, ruined some other family, tried to take some other kids.
Very possible. And we might get another flashback that's actually not a retelling of what we've already seen, but his story.
Yeah.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
Maybe these 4 Jedi have a history of going through and wreaking havoc and like forcibly taking I mean, yeah, we talked about that in the last episode. Maybe. I'm not saying you're wrong. I think it's something different. We will find out for sure. I am dying to know what they did, because it's such a desperate move when he says, like, you still trust him after everything he did? Soul goes, his mind is twisted by the dark side. It's like, come on, bruh. You're grasping. You are grasping. Don't listen to him, Osha. He's crazy with the dark side. Don't, la, la, la. Don't listen to him. It's a desperate look. And I think that's Osha catches it and is like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
And then we see almost that same thing with Mae and Osha when they reconnect towards the end. And Mae has that line that was like kind of stolen from Anakin.
You turned her against me.
Yeah.
Wait, no. They turned you against me.
They poisoned your mind. They turned you against me.
That's the Obi-Wan turned you against me.
You turned her against me.
The winds of Mustafar blowing in his hair.
Yeah.
I did like that. Had to have been a purposeful
Totally.
call out
Yeah.
to give her an Anakin line.
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh.
I really liked the shot of her chopping off her hair. I thought that was super dramatic and theatrical, and I liked it.
It's nice. It's cool. I thought it was funny that like when her and Mae got into that, or her and Osha got into the fight, Mae totally gave her the Hadouken and just like straight up Street Fighter her ass right off the little ledge.
That was pretty great. We see Basil, weasel otter creature, is still tracking Mae. So Mae has now disguised herself as
you
Osha.
had to remind me of that. Like in the previous episode, they gave the weasel Basil creature, the weasel beaver, an article of Mae's clothing or something like that to smell, and then he started following her. I totally forgot about that.
So I think he is going to be what gives it away that that's Mae and not Osha, because he's still tracking her.
I think he's going to track her, and I think he's also going to try and give her the head of the robot or the droid. And I don't think she's going to recognize what that's for.
It's also very possible. Also, she has a like
big
scar tattoo
thing,
and she doesn't have Osha's arm tattoo, which Soul makes a point of referencing
in that first episode,
and being like, oh, what's that? So
or second episode,
we might see her without her like jacket on, and Soul is going to know. Now, something you brought up is, why does Soul not immediately know that that's not Osha?
Yeah, and he's still coming to after getting knocked out.
He's been knocked out for what could have been a couple hours. Who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, he was stun gunned.
Yeah, but I mean, Osha
30
woke
minutes.
up pretty quick.
Or Mae
woke up pretty quick.
I feel like this is going to happen a lot. She did wake up pretty quick. So I'm 10 to 30 minutes, who knows? But like being knocked out for that long, you're a little... He's also very shaken because his Padawan was just killed. All of his Jedi companions were just killed. A lot of trauma. Also, we know he has a deep connection to Osha. So initially we're like, oh, why can't you tell that it's not her? We don't know what kind of magic Mae has.
True.
On top of what we understand to be force powers, because she has the inherited magic of her mother that was, in that tattoo. We don't know what that means. We don't know what she can do. Maybe she can like mask her footprint in the force. Like, who knows? She potentially has power that we haven't seen, don't understand, have no concept of yet.
And speaking of that, I mean, that's kind of like the witchy ways of like her mother's,
Mm-hmm.
And being able to get inside the minds of the Jedi. That's something that was referenced for Chimera, as that he got into Yord's head.
Yeah.
And Mae specifically, or
Osha.
Osha specifically says that's something that my mother could do.
Yes.
And that makes me want to think that he's either from a similar kind of witchy tribe, or maybe it's just something that dark wielders somehow figure out how to do. It's just part of the dark kind of path.
Maybe. But he's clearly in Mae's head too when she's running away and you see that close up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think that's Cortosis or not. I think that's one of the coolest helmets in Star Wars.
Darth Smiley.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I also made a note of his last line. What extraordinary beings we are. Even in the revelation of our triumph, we see the depth of our despair. Very, I don't want to say Shakespearean, but kind of, it's very dramatic, very theatrical, very like...
Throwaway prose.
I'm not sure what it means yet.
I don't think it means anything.
It might.
I think they wrote it because they're like, oh, this sounds cool.
I don't know. I think it's going to mean something. And I think he's relating to Osha when he says it, because she's laying there unconscious. I don't know what he thinks he's going to be able to do with her. I don't see her as being easily swayed to the dark side, but he clearly knows something about what happened and is likely going to tell her, and tell her in a much less favorable way than Soul was, because Soul said he was going to tell her. Whether or not he actually was, to be determined.
Maybe we get Mae's flashback as retold through Chimere.
That would actually make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we cannot trust at all.
Which we cannot trust at all. But I think the storytellers would make it Mae's actual flashback, but just told through Chimere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, another friend of mine texted, we were kind of freaking out about how cool the fighting was. I also wrote down Jedi punching. There's a lot of Jedi punching. We don't usually see like hand-to-hand combat that way with punching. Soul punched him in the helmet like so many times. Yes. Wait, what was I saying? Oh yeah, he texted me and said, "This was so good, I almost forgive them for not showing us a Wookiee Jedi fighting."
Yeah, I agree. I forgot about that Wookiee real quick.
And so did the other Jedi Masters. Like no one, I mean, the only thing is Jecki like referenced that he had been killed when she tries to arrest Mae. We still could get him fighting in a flashback. I'm hopeful. I'm not optimistic. There's a difference.
Did we see in the last episode when the Jedi were approaching Kalnaka's trailer? Did anybody go inside?
No.
I don't remember anybody. How did they even know that Kalnaka's dead? They
don't. Only Jecki knows because she goes inside. Mae is inside hiding.
Yeah, okay.
When she comes out, Jecki apprehends her. The fight takes them inside. She spots Kalnaka, and then she adds him to her list of names of people that you've killed and why I'm arresting you. There's a chance we get a Wookiee fighting.
Actually, I take that back. Saul knows that he's dead.
Why?
Because when they're in the forest walking towards it, when we get that flash of like Kalnaka with his chest opened up and seared, it kind of either just before that, I think it's just before that, it cuts to them in the forest and Saul is clearly like reacting to something that he feels.
Oh, like he feels his loss in the forest.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. I totally forgot about that.
Got it. No, it's interesting because that's so he did know in his own like
I think he did know.
Jedi Force Noe way. Yeah. It's interesting because the last episode, interview episode of the podcast, we talk about clones and we talk about if they're genetically identical, are they the same? Are they the same person? Is there anything different? Could you just swap in one for the other? And the overall consensus that we had, me and my guest, was that no, they're very different. They have their own identities, their own personalities. And in the very first episode of the Clone Wars TV show, the first episode, Yoda said that they all have different presences in the Force.
Yeah. Each
one of them is unique in the Force.
Same face.
Same face. So that is established from literally episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
But so the argument then would be made that Mae and Osha, who are, what was it, made as one, born as two, whatever their little like nursery rhyme is that they say to each other, they're genetically identical. They're identical twins. But by Yoda's logic about the clones, they would have very different footprints in the Force, very different presences in the Force. So Soul would know that right away.
I agree.
According to that logic. However, it's also been...
But you can't fool a Jedi. Jedi are not easily fooled. Like,
I know.
Wait.
Well, another reason that made me kind of want to retcon my Ki-Adi-Mundi rant was just being like, canon changes every time a new piece of content comes out.
Yeah.
It's mythology. Star Wars is mythology. It's not going to be perfectly consistent, and who cares?
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like
if Soul can't tell right now, I'm just going to fill in the gap in my head of Mae has witch magic that we are unaware of, and she is able to fool him for
concussed.
That brief period of time.
Yeah.
He was concussed until he either sees her lack of tattoo on her arm, sees her presence of tattoo on her forehead, or Bezel Weasel is like, oh, I found my quarry. It's this one. And
here's your robot. I don't know what to do with this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Soul's like, why are you touching her? And he's like, this is what I've been trying to track this whole time. Give me a cookie.
Yeah.
I found my prize.
No, and I think to your point too, like this being mythology and this changing all the time. I feel like I've been so nitpicky about this show when we watch it.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really trying to force this show to make sense in the context of, you know, the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, and the sequel trilogy, and everything in between.
Like what you already know.
Like what I already know and what I want it to be.
Yes.
And I'm not allowing it to be its own thing. I'm not allowing it to be
yes.
this mystery thing that it's trying to do. And, you know, is it not perfect? Sure. Is every show not perfect? Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I could really complain about everything that I watch.
So, exactly. And I think the question that matters is it accomplishing what it's setting out to do?
Yeah.
And I think that answer is unequivocally yes. But yeah, it accomplishes what it's setting out to do, which is tell a new story, give us unlock a new piece of history that I don't think, because all the High Republic stuff I'm reading takes place prior to this. So as far as I'm aware, there's not, there probably is like book and comic content from like with these characters that exist that I haven't consumed yet. But like this is doing what it's setting out to do.
Yeah, it really is.
Also, I'll bet Sol feels pretty fucking bad about killing that roly poly because they saved his ass later when they came and picked up Chimera and took him away. Revenge of the pill bugs. And he's like, oh man, I'm sorry I killed your cousin. Bye. And runs away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm less annoyed by the pill bugs now.
I mean, now at least we know why they were introduced. They were introduced to come back and save the day.
Yes, and the whole like seeing the chewed up wad of black gum on the tree. So then when Mae is looking around and all the trees are bare, we know what she knows. Yeah. My last thing I wanted to talk about, I mean, there's just so much, but the last thing I really wanted to talk about is why can't the Jedi just fucking kill? Like he swung back. He not only did he swing back his lightsaber, he's on the downswing when Osha cries his name. And I'm thinking like, oh, why can't you just kill him? And what did you say?
At least take off an arm.
Yes.
Or both his arms.
Yes.
Literally disarm, Dooku his ass.
Dooku his ass. Take off his hands. So in a different High Republic book, there is a Padawan who is apprehending someone who's trying to like abscond with a young woman and probably mistreat her somehow. And he's like, in the name of the Republic. And he's a Padawan. He's kind of Yordish in that he's like,
a dick.
He takes things very seriously.
Yeah.
And it's just, he's very studious and by the book. Yeah. And he hasn't passed his trials yet. And so he's like, stop in the name of the Republic. And he's kind of stammering over the words because he's like nervous. And you must let that woman go. And the guy's like, no. So he cuts off his arm. And the guy drops the woman walks away and he's like, whoa. He's like, well, you didn't give me any choice.
Didn't kill him.
Also, with the lightsaber, you're cauterizing the wound, so it's not like they're going to get infected or bleed to death. Yeah. So just take off his arm.
Nope.
Or just kill him.
Well, we see this kind of with everything. Like, Chimera monologued himself right into losing Mae. He wanted to kill Mae. He has a lightsaber up to her temple and just kept on yapping. Classic bad guy move. And then Yord showed up and got himself Yorded.
Well, and Mae did it in the last episode, just announcing her plans to...
Yep. I'm going to go do this, do that.
Yeah. See ya.
Yep.
Bye.
That's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. So, but what I don't get is like, the Jedi will kill people in battle. Right? Yeah. We see it in the Clone Wars all the time. People, not just droids, they will kill people in battle. But the second that person is disarmed, like, oh no, now I can't kill you.
Down.
And it's like, well, that's that code. It's like, really? So that code allow you to kill that person when they are armed? Like, it just seems a little arbitrary.
Actually, maybe a show or conversation to go through what the actual Jedi code is, if it's laid out, if it's broken out like that.
Yeah.
Because
It's gotta be.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah,
There's
Pablo
gotta be,
Hidalgo
like,
is
the
probably.
Bushido for Jedi or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's it for this episode. Can't wait
Yay.
for next week. Super excited.
Yep.
Really so happy to be excited about the show.
This episode really helped me make that turn.
Yes.
I wanted to be more positive about this show, and this episode made it so much easier.
Yeah, if we'd been having all those
Best
talks
episode by
about being
far.
more positive and then the show came out and was horrible, I'd feel so insincere and just
Yeah.
but like I sincerely really really loved that.
And honestly, I sincerely like the show.
I'm so happy. I'm so relieved.
Me too.
I'm so relieved.
Me too.
All right, everybody, catch episode 7 of the podcast that came out on Monday.
So good. It's so good.
You think so?
I think it's really good.
Oh, my
Yeah.
mom liked it, but you know, she's a little biased.
Yeah,
I
but
like
she does it when she
too.
doesn't like things.
Yes, she does. I like it too, and it's all about the clones, and I love the clones, and I could talk about the clones for hours, and we did talk about the clones for hours. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, listen to episode 7. Listen to this. We will be back next week talking about episode 6.
Already.
I know.
Yeah.
Man. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Write a review. If you have any feedback, any comments or questions, please write me at teatimeontatooine on Instagram or teatimeontatooine@gmail.com. I'm Anna Trumbo.
I'm Nick Griffith.
And remember, the Force will be with you always.